All right guys, so we're continuing on with our Jiu-Jitsu advice series for beginners, and this is piece of advice number 8. So this advice is really simple, but sometimes very difficult to implement. And the basic idea is to go at your own pace. So going at your own pace can refer to a couple different things. So let's think about while you're training, right? The speed of the roll, the intensity of training, how hard you're going in training. And then the second part is the frequency of training, how much you're training, and also, what you're doing outside of jiu-jitsu as well. I encourage beginners to probably train around 2 to 3 times a week. And whether you're younger and you're in great shape, or even older and not in the best shape, or your body's had a few miles on it, I think that going to training about 2 to 3 times a week is a good way to allow your body to acclimate, to adjust to the rigors of training, but also I think it can allow you to process the information, the training a little bit better. Again, everybody learns differently, but sometimes if you go train every single day, number one, it's hard on your body, but number two, it can be a ton of information. It can be hard to really process all that information, all those techniques at once. So let's talk about during training and in training. So think about if you're a beginner, but you're a younger grappler, you may want to go really fast. You may want to just continue to use all your attributes, as much speed as possible. And there's a place and a time for that. But if you do that all the time, it can make it hard to really solidify your techniques. And also, if you get fatigued or get tired during a roll, it could really go against you. So I think that just going really, really fast and using all your attributes can be helpful, but again, I think it can mitigate your learning and your progress, because I think slowing down, getting good with positions, being able to hold positions and control positions, and also be very diligent and controlled with your movements is very helpful. It's a great way to make sure that your techniques are solid and you're actually, not just using your speed and your athleticism to win the roll or win the round. So for the younger, newer grapplers, think about trying to slow down the rolls. Now, if you're an older grappler, you may feel like you need to speed up. You may feel like you need to keep up with your opponent's speed. If you're going against somebody that's a little younger, faster, you may feel like you want to move with them or move as fast as they do. Use positions and techniques that slow the roll down. It could be just like the pressure passing. It could be some positions where you really solidify and get good control, good chest pressure, trying to cook your opponent. Think about that. So if you're an older grappler, using your attributes, possibly your strength if you're fairly strong, but trying to slow the roll down and put the training partner into positions where they have to work really hard, but you don't work very hard. If you have a hard time slowing down as a newer grappler, I think focus on your breathing, nasal breathing. So think about the intensity you can train at where you're just breathing in and out your nose and not breathing in your mouth at all. So that will help you really slow down the breathing, because you're not gonna be able to go at such a fast pace. So think about your breathing, control your breathing. If you get in a good position, take some nice deep breaths, solidify that position, take some good breaths and pause, and then keep progressing the roll. And then looking at modifying your intensity of training. Not every single roll has to be to the death, it has to be to win. You can use certain rolls as slower rolls, where maybe we're working on positioning or you're working on certain techniques. That's harder to do as a newer grappler, but as you get a little more skill, and you do have some rolls where you're going against somebody that's less skilled, don't try to just smash that training partner. Maybe work on things that maybe you're not as good at. And that can help you also slow down the roll, but also challenge yourself and make it an interesting training session as well. And it'll help immensely, because it's kind of like live drilling almost. So it's gonna help you try to develop those techniques in real time against a resisting opponent, which is one of the best ways to improve your jiu-jitsu. I would also encourage you to do things outside of jiu-jitsu, so mobility work, strength training, getting enough sleep and diet. Those are really important to supplement your jiu-jitsu to give you better performance on the mat. Something to think about. It's usually not something people tend to think about initially, but if you can incorporate those things in, it'll really help your your jiu-jitsu and it'll help your longevity in jiu-jitsu. And that kind of brings me to my last point is think of jiu-jitsu as the long game. Think of it as something you maybe, if you love doing it, it's a martial art that has a lot of variability and you can train it for a long time, you know, getting into your 60s, 70s and beyond. So you can be an older grappler. You can find matches at tournaments with a lot more masters divisions popping up now in a bunch of tournaments. So I think of jiu-jitsu as something, if you really love it and it's something you want to do long term, think of it in a way that can be sustainable and something that you can do for a long time. So those are all things to think about as a beginner, which you may not be, you know, you're in survival mode initially when you start training, but as you start to progress and get some skill, try to think about those longevity pieces. Think of it, you know, the long game, the long perspective, and that you want to still be effective and be able to move on the mats when you get older. So those are some ideas. Go at your own pace, find the intensity, find the frequency that feels good to you, listen to your body. It's really important. If you need some help, reach out to me. You can send me a comment or an email, jiujitsutherapist@gmail.com. Be happy to help you out. If you need additional instruction or coaching or mobility assistance, let me know. But guys, that's number 8. See you for the next video. Talk to y'all next time.